بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Mu'minin, as mentioned yesterday, these are the days of sorrow, the days of grief. When we see multitudes of people, Mu'mineen, the Azadars of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam, and even others who are pursuing the journey to Karbala to pay the respects to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the Arba'in. Today we will look at the importance of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and what are the rewards or the miracles of the tragedy of Karbala and the Shifa as well. Now, when we look at Imam Hussain alayhi salam, due to his steadfast servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his martyrdom on the plains of Karbala, our holy prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has honored him by stating, Hussain is the lamp of guidance and the ark of salvation. Moreover, our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam,
اللهم صل على محمد.
states, indeed, if one of you goes for Hajj 1,000 times but does not visit the grave of Hussain ibn Ali, he has neglected one of his obligations towards Allah the Exalted. The event of Karbala is considered to be the university of Islam, meaning that the entire movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, from the dispatch of his ambassador Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa until the arrival of the captive family back to the city of Medina, is inclusive of every facet of Islam. It is a testimony to all matters of justice and freedom, and is the ultimate template for revolution for any soul, and the ultimate inspiration for reform for any community. It is for this reason Imam Hassan alayhi salam told his brother, saying, there is no day like your day, O Aba Abdullah. Now let us look at some of the stories in which we can learn some lessons. Now, this story is with regards to Shifa, the turba or the sand from the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Sayyid Mustafa al-Mudarrasi narrates, my brothers Sayyid Muhammad Kazim and Sayyid Mahdi were in Australia and walking together. My brother Sayyid Muhammad Kazim had recently suffered from ill health, and as they were walking, his health condition resurfaced, and all of a sudden he collapsed literally in the middle of the street. They rushed to the hospital, and Sayyid Mahdi called our father, Ayatollah Sayyid Hadi al-Mudarrasi, to inform him of the situation. Sayyid Mahdi told his father that Sayyid Muhammad Kazim was experiencing a violent seizure and his health had deteriorated so badly there was a grave risk that he may not survive. Calmly, my father told him, place some half of Shifa on his tongue and he will be aided through the intercession of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, God willing, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Sayyid Mahdi continues the story. It was not my practice to carry the Khak of Karbala with me, but it so happened that on that day I had some Khak with me. And it also happened that one of the staff attending to my brother in the hospital room was a Shia. So I asked if we could place some Khak in his mouth. The nurse opened his mouth and was about to place it inside when the rest of the medical team objected and asked what she was doing. The nurse replied, this is religious medicine. If he is going to die, it will ease his passing away, and if he is to survive, it will help him. You see, if you notice here how the reply comes automatically with the help of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Because it was a situation whereby it was not possible to carry out the thing. But yet it had to happen when you call Imam Hussein alayhi salam with that sincere intention, then things do work out. Although I had not heard this explanation, I did not say anything, he says. None of the staff continued with their objections and allowed the heart to be placed in my brother's mouth. My brother had been violently shaking throughout this time, and we had lost hope of him surviving. The nurse opened his mouth and placed the heart in his mouth, and as soon as she did so, my brother's body began to calm down, and after a short time he had completely stabilized. Later the doctors came to me and asked what exactly had been placed in his mouth, because they had never seen a recovery like this before. My father says, God gave us Muhammad Kazim twice. The first time when he was born, and the second when he literally, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brought him back from death. And it happened because of two things: supplication and the holy dust of Imam Hussein alayhi salam's tomb. Allahumma salli ala. So, it all comes down to our sincere faith in whatever we believe. Even, for example, that khak was not khak Shifa, but the intention was there because there was no other khak. Of course, in this case, as the Sayyid says, that I didn't used to carry, but it had to happen that I was carrying. And that khak saved. So it was all, interconnected. And believe me, that we see in life such things happening. And of course, if it is in Karbala, then it will definitely happen. But if it is even distant from Karbala, it will still happen if you have got that true faith in Imam Hussein alayhi salam, not only in him, but imagine this is the dust, khak. Now let us look at another story which is of another dimension, and in this one, a lady, a Russian lady, reverts to Islam, and how she, the true love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which makes her turn to Islam, and what is the final consequence of that? That her true love is so great that she ends up, her grave ends up in the close vicinity of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It is reported that one of the senior students of the great scholar Ayatollah al-Ulama Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Isfahani, commonly known as Al-Wahid al-Behbahani, narrates that he was sitting beside the great scholar in the courtyard of the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam when a strange visitor arrived, embraced the hand of Ayatollah al-Behbahani and unwrapped a bag full of gold and women's jewelry, stating, "Spend this in any way you view to be good and useful." The scholar asks, "Where did you obtain this from, and what's the story behind this?" The visitor replied, "My story is truly strange, and if you permit, I can narrate it to you now." The scholar replied, "Please go on." And the visitor then narrated, "I am from the Iranian city of Sarawan. I used to travel to Russian lands for business and trade, and I managed to earn a great amount of wealth. Once, during my travels, my eyes fell upon a Russian lady, and I wished to seek her hand in marriage. She replied, 'I am a Christian, and you are a Muslim, and only if you join my religion shall I permit this marriage.' I was very bewildered and confused as to what step I should take. Whilst I was very heartbroken and hurt to be obliged to sacrifice my religion, eventually a Christian marriage ceremony took place between us. After a very short time, I truly regretted my decision. I was very disappointed in myself, and I began to criticize my past decision, thinking, it is now difficult to return back to my home country, and I actually do not believe in the Christian faith. As I was in this sorrowful state, I remembered the tragedy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and I started to weep, shedding tears as I remembered the operation against our master. Even though I didn't know a great deal regarding Islam, I was aware that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was oppressed whilst defending the true teachings of Islam and was brutally murdered. My Christian wife looked at me and she was shocked to see me in such a distraught state. Inquiring as to the reason behind my many tears, I placed my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and decided to tell her the truth. I admitted deep down I am a Muslim and wish to remain a Muslim, and these tears are in remembrance of the tragic martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Upon hearing the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and listening to the tragedy of the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, her heart was filled with the love of the Ahlul Bayt and Islam. She immediately embraced Islam and joined me in shedding tears for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One day I told my wife, without informing others, let us head towards Karbala and visit the holy shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and you can announce your reversion to Islam within the holy shrine. She agreed with my suggestion and we started to arrange our necessary travel requirements. Then suddenly, my wife fell extremely ill and sadly passed away, and her family buried her along with all her gold and jewelry in the Russian Christian cemeteries. Her departure from this world was extremely painful for me, and I decided to have her reburied in a Muslim graveyard. In the middle of the night, I went to her grave and quietly started to dig it up until I reached the coffin. When I opened the coffin, I was absolutely shocked to find that instead of my wife, there was a man with a mustache. What I witnessed was extremely strange, and that same night, when I fell asleep, I saw a person in my dream who reassured me with these words: glad tidings to you, for the angels have transferred the body of your wife to Karbala, in the holy place near the holy shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and they have replaced her body with that man's, as he was a man who used to always consume forbidden financial interest, and so the trouble and task of transferring her blessed body to the Muslim cemetery has been relieved from you. I was very joyful and immediately headed towards Karbala, and after visiting the holy shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, I approached the senior staff members and inquired as to who was buried in this specific place on this particular day. Their reply was that a man famous for consuming forbidden financial interest was buried there. I informed them of the intriguing events that had occurred, and they opened this specific grave. I found that it was indeed my wife who was buried there near the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, with all the gold and jewelry that her family buried with her. I took the gold and jewelry and have now brought them here to you so that you may spend it on what you find beneficial, that which would bless her soul. The grand scholar Ayatollah Sayyid al-Bahbahani took the gold and jewelry, and all of it was used in aiding the poor residents of Karbala. Allahumma salli ala
اللهم صل على محمد
So you can see the miracle of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, the name Hussein is such, if it is presented to any community in the true sense, with that sincerity of your, from the bottom of your heart, then it is indeed going to affect him. And more so if you are grieving for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and you are able to explain that person in a nice way, of course seeking the assistance of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It is only him who can bring about that change, of course with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed Imam Hussein alayhi salam with, who did not see anything coming in his way to sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we'll just look at the last story, and in this one basically the importance of the land of Karbala is explained. The author narrates that a group of youths and volunteers from the United States were given an audience with Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Mudarrasi during their visitation to Karbala. Ayatollah al-Mudarrasi addressed them by asking, "Why have you come to this land, Karbala? Are you here for tourism or a holiday? No, rather you must find the meaning and obtain the goal when visiting the shrines of Karbala. Know that there is only one piece of land from the entire earth that is raised on the day of judgment to be present on that day, and that is the land of Karbala. And so, if you want to be raised on the day of judgment from Karbala and to be considered as one of the people of Karbala, then you must have the attributes of those loyal to Karbala." The visitation to Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a means to reform the soul, and this takes shape in various stages of progression and development, all of which have the potential to be completed during the visitation to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. How do you achieve this? Let me ask you, have you ever seen a person covered in dirt enter a shower and leave still dirty? Does a person who has just finished his shower enter straight back in the dirt again? In the same way, coming to Imam Hussein alayhi salam cleanses you thoroughly, but one should not return to the dirt he was used to. That is the style of living, of committing sins, impure state of living. Take examples from Hazrat Hur bin Yazid al-Riyahi, who left the fires of hell for the gardens of paradise in a moment by supporting Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and from Shamr bin Ziljawshan, who was La'natullah, who was in the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Siffin, and thus on the verge of paradise, but ended up being Imam Hussein alayhi salam's killer and forever in the pits of hell. And consider the land of Karbala and its events as a school. In every school there are positions and teachers who teach various sciences. Take Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam as your teacher and learn the lessons of loyalty and bravery. Take Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha as your teacher of chastity and patience. And just as in every school there is a principal, take Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who embodies all moral values and principles as the principal of this school. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his mission, the land of Karbala, and maybe be attached to Imam Hussein alayhi salam at every moment of our life, because he is the one who takes us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, not every one of us can afford to go to Karbala. Like I mentioned yesterday, if our intentions are pure, we are seeking that closeness from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we are begging to him, rest assured, you can still earn reward of visitation to Karbala by just sitting here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that blessing to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we can get those rewards, and we can get that feeling of being close to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the true love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and how we can share that love with others to bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Let us now recite a bit of Masaib, and this today I decided to do them in Urdu. My apologies to those who don't understand Urdu. वाक़िअन इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम और आप अहले हरम की मजलूमियत कुछ ऐसी थी कि जिसे देखकर गैर मजहब वाले भी कांप उठते थे, मगर उन जालिमों पर कोई असर न था। इमाम हुसैन का सर तो तश्त में यजीद के महल में रखा हुआ था, और इमाम हुसैन के अहले हरम कैद खाने में, और कैद खाना भी ऐसा तंग व तारीक है जिसमें न हवा का गुजर न रोशनी का, दम घुटा जाता था, और उसमें वो असीरान सितम सुबह से शाम तक अपने अपने जवानों, अपने अपने शहीदों के लिए रोया करते थे। शाम के वक्त मौला हुसैन के बच्चे कैद खाने के दरवाजे पर खड़े हो जाते थे और देखते थे कि शाम के लोग खुशो खुर्रम अपने बच्चों का हाथ पकड़े हुए खाने पीने की चीजें खरीद कर घर वापस जा रहे हैं, तो बेताब होकर अपनी फूफी का दामन थाम लेते थे और अर्ज करते थे, क्यों फूफी जान, क्या हमारा कोई घर नहीं है? क्यों फूफी हमारे बाबा नहीं आएंगे? सानिया जहरा की आंखों में आंसू आ जाते थे, फरमाती थी, बच्चों तुम्हारा घर मदीने में है, बच्चों तुम्हारे बाबा सफर पर गए हैं। और बच्चे कहते थे कि हाय, ये कैसा सफर है कि जो भी गया अभी तक नहीं पलटा। अज़ादारों, उन्हीं बच्चों में मौला हुसैन की लाडली सकीना भी थी। 4 बरस का सिन, मगर इस कम सिनी में बाप की जुदाई का गम उठाए हुए, करबला की भूखों प्यास का सदमा सहे हुए, शिब्र के तमाचे और अश्किया के ताजियाने खाए हुए, माँ और फूफी के साथ एक रस्सी में गला बंधवाए हुए इस कैद खाने में मौजूद है। एक शब इस बच्ची को बाप की याद ने बहुत सताया, तो एक तरफ बैठकर बाप को याद करके ज़ारों कतार रोने लगी। रोते रोते आंख लग गई, ख्वाब में देखा बाबा का सर तश्ते तिला में यजीद के सामने रखा हुआ है, और यजीद अपनी छड़ी से उनके लबो दंदान के साथ बेअदबी कर रहा है। और ये भी देखा कि मेरे बाप का सर खुदा की बारगाह में फरियाद कर रहा है। बस ख्वाब से चौंक पड़ी, रोती जाती थी और कहती जाती थी, वाह बता قرۃ عینا وحسینا. سکینہ کے اس نالہ و بیت سے تمام اہل حرم پریشان ہو گئے. ماں بہن پھوپھیاں گر جمع ہو گئی. رونے کا سبب پوچھا تو حسین کی لاڈلی بولی خدا کے لیے میرے بابا کو بلا دو. میں نے ابھی بابا کا سر یزید کے سامنے دیکھا ہے. ہائے سیل حرم میں کوہرام پڑ گیا. سر و سینہ پیٹنے لگے عزاداروں. جب یزید کو معلوم ہوا کہ حسین کی لاڈلی بچی نے اپنے باپ کو خواب میں دیکھا ہے اور خواب دیکھنے کے بعد رو رہی ہے, یزید نے حکم دیا حسین کا سر اسے دے دو. عزادارو حسین کا سر تشت میں رکھ کر قید خانے میں لایا گیا. سکینہ نے باپ کا سر لے لیا, منہ پر منہ رکھا. ہائے بابا, یا آپ کی ریش مبارک ہو, آپ ہی کے خون سے کس نے خضاب کر دیا. ہائے مجھے کم سنی میں کس نے یتیم کر دیا. بابا آپ کے بعد ان بے کس عورتوں کی کون خبر لے گا. بابا کاش میں اندھی ہوتی اور آپ کی ایسی حالت نہ دیکھتی. یہ بہن حسین کی بیٹی کر رہی تھی. اہل حرم رو رہے تھے. اتنے میں سر حسین نے آواز دی بیٹی سکینہ اب تم میرے پاس آ جاؤ, میں تمہارا انتظار کر رہا ہوں. یہ آواز سن کر سکینہ بے ہوش ہو گئی. شانہ پکڑ کر ہلایا مگر ہوش نہ آیا. روح جسم سے مفارقت کر گئی. انا للہ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. اہل حرم رونے لگے. آس پاس کے لوگ جمع ہو گئے. لوگوں کو معلوم ہوا کہ حسین کی لاڈلی اس دنیا سے رخصت ہو گئی. ایک چراغ جلایا گیا, غسالہ بلائی گئی, غسل دیا گیا. حسین کے سینے پر سونے والی کو اسی کے پیرہن کا کفن دے کر قید خانے میں دفن. الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا حول بيت محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ما